All right, Tactical Rifleman Nation, we appreciate you guys out there. Instructor Z here, and this is not my thing. I don't like to go over the gear, but I get a lot of questions about what I carry, why I carry it, and you know that's standard for the industry. So I understand, and I got a certain approach that I take. A lot of you guys out there, you get the question posed to you, all right, you got all that shit on you. Why do you have it on you? Is it just to look cool at the range and be quick on that one drill that requires you to go super fucking fast? Yeah, that works if that's your end state, right? But what is the ultimate goal? What is the surrounding purpose for you to have all that stuff? So I like to have a purpose for everything, all right? And I'm an average everyday citizen nowadays, everyday survival, everyday people, right? So my stuff has dual purposes, and I can't just afford to put on all this other different shit. And if I had different setups all the time, you know what that requires is more training, so I know where everything's at. So time is money, right? So you guys got to work, I got to work, we got to take care of the kids, we got to do the lawn care, whatever it may be. I got one thing that applies to a lot of different contexts, or one setup that applies to a lot of different contexts. So we're going over my war belt. I don't even call it a war belt. So it's my duty belt. It's like a duty belt, right? So much like a law enforcement officer, I'm a certified armed guard in the state of Tennessee, and I train a lot of armed guards in the ways of the excellent armed guard versus what the adapted standard is, right? We're above and beyond at Asset, the company that I work for, as far as security. And I also train a lot of police officers, so I want something similar to what their setup may be. Let's go over what I have here. First off, everything I have pretty much from ATS Tactical in Oak Grove, Kentucky. It's a local brand. They've supplied my old unit, mine and Carl's old unit, our Special Forces unit, and Special Forces Aviation, our Special Operations Aviation, out of Fort Campbell. They've been big supporters for a long time, and they've got good kit. They make in the shop on their own for what you need it for. So if I go in there and say, hey, I need this particular setup or this particular spacing between my webbing, my ability to attach it, then they can do that for you. Good people, man. So what we have here, let's start. First, I have this VTAC tactical belt. You see, I got the Cool Guy clip connection, and I have the ability to have an anchor point here if I need. So I'm not really attaching myself to helicopters anymore, so don't really need that as much. Could come up, so I have that if I do need it. I will be changing out to an ATS belt. They make belts that are just as good, nothing wrong with VTAC, but I go with the good people, and their belt is just as good, if not better. And it's gonna have that Cobra head connector on the top and the anchor point on the belt as well. So, and I'm definitely gonna go black. Why do I have all black gear? I thought I was super freaking tactical. I'm tactical guy, right? Well, like I said before, I want multi-purpose equipment. So if I work security, I can wear this and it doesn't raise eyebrows. It doesn't tell the people around me, hey, we got Mr. Tactical Guy over here and looks like he's ready for war. So they start to get scared. They start to wonder what the hell's going on if I jump out working a job or working a post or training someone and I have a bunch of camouflage, multicam type shit on. So black kind of goes in any environment. I can wear it at night for tactical reasons. I can wear it in the daytime, worry about my contrast, but I'm not in the desert anymore, so black is not gonna contrast too bad. I can wear it on the range and it serves the purposes I need it to when I'm teaching, but wear it on duty as well. So on this end here, on my left side, I've got mag holders, a double mag holder pouch, right? Allows for 2 mags here in that spot. I've got 1 mag in there now. Call that your quick reload mag or your happy mag, right? I don't have the cover over top of it, but it does have some retention in there. It's just friction retention, which allows me to make a reload quickly. And then I have the ability to strap down another magazine. When I carry the other one in there, I can strap it down right in that spot. Let me get it all the way seated. And I'm not worried about losing my gear when I get it in a fight or have to manhandle someone or I'm rolling around on the ground. And I just put this through the paces, guys. I just did a video on mobility flow for getting small in a combat situation during a gunfight. And this thing lasted, like nothing fell off of me. None of my magazines were lost or anything. So I know firsthand that when you're fighting or when the speed of violence is involved in chaos, if your gear is not retained adequately, you will lose your shit. It'll fall off, it'll break, you'll have a yard sale all over, right? So I understand that I can't just have friction for everything, right? If I put my hands on you and we're fighting, you're fighting for your life, my shit will get thrown everywhere if it's not held on tightly and appropriately. So there's my double mag pouch. Let me put my speed reload mag back in there, right? If I lose that thing for some reason because it's friction, then I'll have that backup one right there beside it. Now working my way across, your right, my left, I've got a hand grenade pouch. Is that dual purpose? Yeah, if I had to have a hand grenade to throw at your house and blow you up, then I could put a hand grenade in there. ATS was willing to make me a pouch specifically, or they have pouches specifically for handcuffs, but I was like, well, I like the dual purpose ability of a hand grenade pouch. You know, worst case scenario, I put something else in there, but I've got a pair of flex cuffs in there, right? So I've got my Fastex buckle, I can tighten it up, I run the flex cuffs down in there, I run the strap through the loop part of the flex cuffs, and I buckle it in, and there's a little butterfly. I'll put him in flex cuffs right now, all right? Then I can tighten it down, and it's tight enough where I can get to it, but loose enough where it's not gonna cause me a lot of problems if I have to get it out quickly. Now, I'm one of those guys that I rely on my skills of hand to hand, not getting the cuffs on you very quickly, right? Because I'll be able to control you, and then once I got control of you and I get my breath, then I'll put the cuffs on you. So I'm not really concerned about getting in there very fast. Right here, we have the good old fashioned, I know all you gun guys out there, you know what a dump pouch is, and as far as you know, it might just be to throw any old damn thing in the range onto or into, collect everything. Well, me, I don't wear AR magazine pouches on here anymore. I've kind of adapted and went away from it. I'm going to put them inside this dump pouch if the opportunity arises for me to use my rifle and carry magazines. I can tighten it down. You see I got a cinch strap here. I can tighten it all the way down. All right, let me pull my sweat cloth out. You know I need a sweat cloth. All right, we'll go ahead and fix that up. There's the old sweat cloth that's in there right now, but the good thing about these dump pouches, which ATS makes, and I've used this ever since, for the 10 plus years I was in Special Forces, I used an ATS dump pouch. It's not so floppy like some of the ones you find in the industry. Extra magazine there, and it's got the ability to tighten up and cinch up. You can fit anything from bombs to blow up doors in there to water bottles, like Nalgene bottles, even some lunch in there. I can fit an MRE in this thing if I had one. And the good thing when I go and do duty work where I'm in the civilian population and I'm looking to be more low-key and not raise any eyebrows, I'll just take and roll this baby up. Let me fold it, roll, roll. It's got Velcro on the outside, and I can take and latch that on, and now it just looks like a regular old general purpose pouch instead of something big and bulky hanging off of my backside. All right, so I love that thing. I love how the utility of it and the way I can make it smaller or I can make it bigger for whatever I want to carry in there. All right, now everybody, this is the big thing now. I know everybody on the internet is talking about medical pouches. I've got a little medical pouch here, right? I'm not so concerned with stopping bleeding. I'm not on the team anymore. I'm not in a combat zone. So yeah, I have a few things in there for plugging holes, stopping bleeding, right? Of course, I have my tourniquet here. Notice it's on the outside. Usually I have a rubber band on there. It broke at some point in time and I haven't replaced it yet. It's just extra, don't need it, but it's attached just with the strap, the Fastex clip strap on there. If I needed to get it, I can reach it with both hands, left or right side, right? And I can use that on myself. All this is mostly for myself. If I have the capacity to fucking work on myself and I have the wherewithal and the ability, I can try to stop my own bleeding if it comes with that. Don't usually think about using it on other people. There is a Good Samaritan laws that I was informed of, but I'm very reluctant to put quick clot or anything like that on other people. I'm not going to go into detail on that. So the good thing about this is, for my particular job, I like this breakaway ability that ATS has on this one, and this is their smaller stop the bleeding pouch, and not their typical IFAC, which is the individual first aid kit. It's a little bit smaller, made for belts like these guys that want to be a little more slim. So I have 2 of these. Don't have the other one with me, but this one's got my stop the bleeding, more of a combat material inside of this. But when I go on personal protection, or depending on the job, if I have to do some executive protection type stuff, or be in an environment where there's talent around, or there's a lot of different jobs that I might end up doing to make myself useful because I want to be an asset, right? Then I'll put things like in there, like band-aids, boo-boo material, like, you know, cut your hand, put some band-aids in there, put some markers in there, a lock picking kit, because I have had clients that have locked themselves out of certain things, and I know how to pick locks pretty good. So I'll put things like that are useful, more useful or more likely to be used in the environment that I'm in. I'll put those in there. But I always carry the tourniquet at least. So I can change that out to my different bags, and instead of pulling everything out of this thing and changing shit out all the time, just keep that there. Place my windlass inside like that. That's better for me. Less stuff to get caught onto. And you'll see on here, don't tell anybody, I got a July 18th, 2011 lot of tourniquets. It's still good. Moving on down the line, again, utility, multiple purpose is what I'm all about. I don't need a lot of different shit made for certain things, right? I was in the Army and in the infantry before I got into Special Forces. We had to take what we had and make it work for the purposes we needed it for. So I got another double mag pouch from ATS. They offered to make me something special. No, I wouldn't have it. I wouldn't have it. I said, I want a double mag pouch, right? And I'll use it for my purposes because I know it will hold my multi-tool, my Gerber multi-tool that I have. Works for me, does a lot of good things. You see it's got my crimper for blasting caps, and it's got my poker for TNT. I use it for everything but that, right? Shank, whatever you want to call it. But a multi-tool, so you always have something like this. It's got my screwdriver tips and my little saw, the replaceable saw blade and all that. And I know Carl's went into his tools and what he uses things for in excess. But in general, have a multi-purpose tool on you somewhere that can be retained and you can use in a lot of different scenarios. So that's what I got in that side. On this other side, I've got a flashlight. So I always keep a flashlight on me. I don't rely on the one just on my gun, right? So I gotta have an ability to shine a light without pointing a gun at somebody or myself. And I always have a light. Right now I got this little Surefire Scout light, but I can put different ones in there, various ones with different sizes, as long as they're not too large, right? I can fit them in there. Right in that same pocket, you can see I've got Velcroed, my little flap goes through the handle of my little penny cutters, my little shears. For you can cut away clothing and do whatever you have to with them. They got a lot of purposes, but I have them particularly because if I flex cuff somebody, there's some flex cuffs that involve keys and you can unlock them, but I'll be able to cut flex cuffs off of somebody if I have to flex cuff them. So that's my penny cutter, shears. We could put those away. Put my flashlight away back into my pouch here. Run my flap back through my shear handle. And we're moving on down the line to my Safariland holster. I plan on switching over to a Red River Tactical holster eventually, another network of good people in the local area. Right now, I just went to this Glock 34, whatever the hell number it is, Safariland holster, right? It's got the 1 billion retention. And I could take this bill off because I do have the ALS system here for retention, but with the law enforcement and with the likelihood of me being in a security situation and somebody potentially trying to grab my gun, I like the extra protection. And you know what it's forced me to do? It's forced me to refine my technique, go back to how I originally learned to draw the gun, was on a holster much like this with a M9 Beretta, and I had to work my way around this bill. So I'm back to it, working on it, and you know what? My pistol does not fall out of my holster no matter what I'm doing. So I do like that fact. It makes you slower on the draw. It works for me. And then I got my Glock 34 in there with my Surefire light on there. Of course, I want a light on a duty holster or a duty gun. That's a necessity in my opinion if you do this stuff a lot. Of course, I got my QLS connector and I've got my leg strap. So this is kind of a mid-ride holster position. I like to strap it to my legs so it don't flop everywhere, and I got it canted towards the front so it sits about here when I'm wearing the belt. So it helps me when I'm sitting in a vehicle or sitting around. My pistol is not necessarily right on my side, taking up space, being cumbersome. It's kind of in the front. Doesn't mess up my draw at all. And everything else on that one side is pretty slick. As you can see, it's slick, meaning there's not a lot of material there, pouches or anything else that I will put on there. I don't want it in the way of my draw, right? I've got a pretty good mechanical draw that comes through the floor positions that we're taught in Special Forces and that I continue to use today. I still don't want to, in the chance that I'm scared and I'm in a hurry, caught behind the power curve because I'm reactive, I don't want anything hanging up my draw. So there you have it. We'll put a black belt on there. It will all be black eventually. Maybe add one or two things depending on what the mission is here and there. And like I said, if it comes down to using a rifle, I can put my rifle mags in here, tighten that up, and I'm good to go. So everything you need pretty much. I know there's a lot more stuff out there in the gun industry that you guys would like or that you have on your belt, and I might not have some of the cool magazine holders or whatever that's popular nowadays. I just like the flap. I'm a fan of the flap. I've seen everything fly out. Tell me any questions you have or whatever you think is in the comments, whatever comments you have about the material. Notice it's not the traditional leather material that Leos would use, right? Not really a fan of that because it doesn't have the dual purpose of being tactical in the field versus being in the civilian world. So anything you got, any suggestions, any more questions about anything, I'll be happy to answer as many as I can. And hope you enjoyed it. I know it's boring to me, boring to show you this stuff. You'd rather see shooting, so we're gonna mix in some shooting in there. Make sure you tune in every Friday. You hit the subscription, become a subscriber, hit the bell for notifications, and we're gonna give you what you can. I changed shirts already, sorry, not enough sweat for you, but we love you out there, Tactical Rifleman Nation. Remember, you're a concerned citizen, get some training, be a capable citizen. Make sure you can do it for real. We'll see you.
If you like this video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, make sure you follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter so you don't miss out on anything. If you like the shirt that we're wearing in the video, you can get it in our store.